Hello and welcome to another one of our Saturday Spotlight interviews. This is Anna Amelia from North East Animal Rights, and today we're talking to Tim Barford, who is the founder of VegFest UK and also the director of Yaoh Ltd. So hello Tim, thank you very much for doing this with us.
Hey, hello Anna, and thank you for asking me onto your show, and congratulations on doing such a wonderful job, especially during lockdown. It's been really good, really inspiring guests you've had.
Thank you very much, including yourself, of course. So first of all, can we start by talking about your vegan journey? How old you were and how did it manifest itself and where you are now with it?
Yeah, sure. I was 17 actually, 1980, when interestingly, a gentleman from Whitley Bay turned up at my mother's house where I lived with my elder brother. And I remember my mother offering him, as she would, being a, hostess, guest in the house, a ham sandwich or something. I remember him saying, and I won't do the accent, he says, "Oh, no thanks, I'm a vegetarian." And my mother's like, "Oh, really? Why is that?" And he says, "Oh, it makes me less farming." And I was sitting there and I was like, I was just like, whoa, what's this guy doing? He's 23, he's like, it's cool, kind of punk rock art guitar at the time. It was the 1980s, probably playing like the Gang of Four or something. I was down with that. And that sparked a whole kind of political rebellion, really, of really associating vegetarian with rebellion. And I went vegetarian like that straight away, really to annoy my mum and dad, to be honest, which is harsh, but true. And they were concerned, but, I was veggie, sort of what I would now call pretty much plant-based. So, just pretty much plant-based, not strictly so, pretty much plant-based. And then in 1984, when I was on the road, I was at festivals, miners' strike, it was a time of considerable social unrest, and we got arrested at a festival. Times. I met some animal rights people from Leeds who went vegan straight away, and that was it. But I would say it's really only in 2015 where I really got to grips with a true understanding of an animal rights perspective about veganism. I would say before that I had a more of a plant-based diet approach, plant-based diet and lifestyle. Around about 2015, I really got to grips with that. Animal rights position, animals are not ours to commodify. And the veganism really is a set of lifestyle choices that reflects that animal rights position.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of people do go vegetarian first, don't they? They see that it's like the route and then go vegan. It's very, yeah,
used to. That was a bit of an 80s thing. You still see it, people like in the 70s, Jeremy Corbyn, something like that, went vegetarian 50 years ago. Kind of same thing. It's just like a solidarity. There was definitely ethics involved, but it just hadn't extended as far. And really, I think now, especially things like veganuary and the success of that, where people are going straight from an omni lifestyle to a vegan. I sort of pretty much vegan. I mean, there are some issues about the ethics and the messaging, but I think that's getting stronger. And I have to praise all the people of Veganuary and all the grassroots who are doing all the wonderful support work this month, because I think it's the grassroots job, as it were, to kind of fill in where Veganuary has perhaps not, covered every aspect. And it's very much an introductory. Animal rights people particularly can fill in with the ethics and share some of the brilliant books or some of the Go Vegan World guide, and have those supportive conversations with people who are really perhaps just getting into a plant-based diet for the first time. So we have to, I think we can go straight to the vegan position, but I think we have to do so supportively and understand that people may reject that position, we may not get it immediately, whatever, be supportive.
Well, we work with Veganuary. We've got a big Veganuary advert. We funded a big advert which they've given us the digital image for, because we know that a lot of people come to veganism through the food, and obviously the food is the most important thing. It's a primary thing people look for, and then they look at the other things to start to be aware of more things. Like you said, it's the grassroots. When we do our outreach on the weekend in Newcastle, we talk to people about other things, like what are they wearing, what are they buying, and that sort of thing, like household products and stuff, so it's easy to have those conversations face to face with people.
That's absolutely important. And what I love about Veganuary is it actually has brought the grassroots and a national campaign, and all the other national campaigns, Vegan Society, Viva, Animal, they all support Veganuary. Yeah. So you've got, like, apart from one or two who choose to tear it down and refuse to look at any of the positive aspects, and will do so publicly, we have to accept that too. That's part of a social justice movement. So, I understand that. But most of us are on board with this, and what the approach is clearly is where you see a gap, maybe fill it in with a supportive approach that's seeking a learning outcome, and importantly, try and avoid this punitive, puritanical, exclusionary approach, which I understand, anger and other aspects can fuel that, and we have to learn to manage our own advocacy. By trying to remain calm and consistent, kind, supportive, but also clear. And I think importantly, not conflate the benefits of a plant-based diet, which are clearly amazing and very attractive and a great positive impact on the world on so many levels. But there's this position that is veganism, which seeks to exclude the use of all animals, and is very much centered around justice for billions of animals and wildlife that are ruthlessly and systemically exploited and commodified, and we have to change that. So we have to be clear. But there's nothing to stop us promoting the benefits of plant-based diets, whilst also being clear about the vegan position, which seeks to exclude the use of all animals.
Is your family vegan? And if not, why not?
No, it's an issue, actually. I've been excluded from my family for a number of years by various parts of my family because of my vegan position, and they're uncomfortable. They don't want me around for Christmas or whatever. They don't want me influencing the grandchildren. And that's tough. I understand it, though, that an animal rights position is a bit non-negotiable. And with families, there's different, influences of partners and people's children and various in-laws, and it's complex. It can be complex, and it's very tough. And Roger Yates, actually, Dr. Roger Yates, sociologist, vegan sociologist, points to this, that generally family, probably you're the last person to try and influence your family. There's sociology, I think, that points to, social change at that family will be better done exteriorly than from a member of the family. So it's very tough for us all if we're, but it's not, it's as it is. And I'm not alone there.
I think we find that, talking in our group, families are the hardest. Friends, I think maybe it's because you're brought up by your family and with your family, and it's like they see it as a rejection of their values, whereas friends you were picking yourself, selecting, they share your values.
Yes, and I cannot share. I mean, I find it horrendous to watch any of my loved ones, consuming body parts. I find that deeply uncomfortable. And although I can, control my emotions, I cannot control the deep revulsion I feel at that. I can just control how I don't express it. And that's really, that's tough for vegans, But it's also tough for family because, you got, what are you meant to do if you're like mom or dad, you've got 3 kids and they're a teenager and they're all like, got different opinions. We want to eat together, we want to live together, you've got grandparents and you've got boyfriends or girlfriends or partners or what have you, and then kids and this, that, and the other. And my goodness, my empathy is to anyone who's struggling with that, because for me, it's a day-to-day. But I'm comfortable that the other day, that's as maybe.
Yeah.
I look forward to the day that changes.
Yeah, I think, I mean, what we did.
And it is changing.
It is changing, yeah. I think they're starting to, I mean, it's everywhere. You know, it's, I wouldn't say it's a saturation point, but everybody knows about veganuary, veganism, plant-based, everybody knows about it. So it's only a matter of time, really, that we end up in a carnage world where, you know, in
this country, yes, I'd agree with you, Anna. But you know, I work with a lot of different countries now, working with all sorts of people all over the world through our magazines, Force of Vegan, and through Club Her Planet, and through Global VegFest Online. And all of these are putting us in touch with advocates. We're talking to a feminist, women's right, animal right, a human right advocate living in Pakistan only a few months ago, and listening to some of the challenges that they're facing about, you know, getting plant-based diets into cultures and acceptance and growth. And there's so much work to do, and we're lucky in the UK that we've well, not just lucky, we should also have debt of gratitude to all the people who've put so much into growing this movement over what is now decades. Yeah. But let's be mindful of the real struggles for a lot of people all over the world. And if you want to see a global vegan world, well, we've got to start putting the work in, you know, paying attention and getting supportive and learning and listening. And that's a whole lot of work to do.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to Salo Shayo, and who's in Mexico, and Seb Alex in the Lebanon.
Lebanon.
The examples of what you're talking about. I mean, they have very, very different problems, social problems, you know, political problems, and they're still advocating, obviously, on a much, you know, they have a much more frustrating and harder life than what we do. I think in the Western world, we are very, very lucky, as you say, to have so much choice, and really there is no excuse in the Western world not to be vegan. It's more it literally is your personal choice to ignore everything which goes on. So, you know, when I was talking to Seb and to Salo, it was very, very interesting to see how hard they have to work to promote veganism. And I always say that the worse the animal rights record is in a country, the braver and the more heroic the activists in those countries are as well. You know, places like China and that.
Yes. And we can do so much more as grassroots in the UK. And, you know, what all the work we're doing now with veganuary and supporting, you know, we can be outreaching all through the year by networking and to listening to people. I mean, you know, if you listen to Seb Alex and some of the issues he's facing in the Lebanon, which obviously has had some particularly challenging issues this last couple of years, and you know how he's going about dealing with that, and it's very inspirational. But you know, let's not just be inspired. Let's get our hands out there. Let's try and help. And really, the help people need is resources. They don't need westernized ideas and food and products. What they need is local, you know, education, information. They need investment in infrastructure and growing, you know, seeds, nuts, fruit, vegetables, beans, pulses, and grains, and the local skills to, you know, produce this into locally grown and produced plant-based options, and very much avoid the sort of, plant burgers coming in and taking, you know, that's not where the plant-based future of countries lies, and we have to avoid that and be cautious. And whereas there's benefits of multinationals taking on plant-based options, there's also some real caution there about the negative impact and damage that these multinationals are doing to, you know, not only in the UK, but especially in countries where we really could do without that. You know, that's not vegan. You know, this is important.
Yeah. You know, we talked briefly just before we came on air about how I said there's a higher level of mental health issues in the animal rights movement, because obviously we're subjected to, you know, on a regular basis, all the traumas and the awful things which go on. So how do you look after your own mental health and well-being?
Yeah, thanks for asking. I mean, that's a really important issue. And it is an issue we need to talk about. I mean, we all have mental health challenges, as simple as that. Whether we want to talk about them or not, that's another thing. But we should encourage each other to be open about these, you know. And yes, I think when you understand the horrors of what's going on with animals, it's deeply traumatic, and it can result in a lot of different responses. And we have to, as a community, try and be, you know, understanding and supportive of those as best we can. That isn't easy always. With mental health issues particularly, nutrients are really helpful. It sounds silly, but you know, get your B12, find out about it. You know, spray, bypass maybe the digestion. Get your methyl cobalamin, so that's the enhanced form. It's worth investment, especially as a long-term now, 40 years plant-based. I would advise very much levels. The EPA, DHA, you know, the algae, the essential fatty acids, are really, really good. Take the supplements, they're great. Really improve your brain function, because your brain is made up of fats, a lot of it. And then the D3 is a really good one. It's another supplement. And, you know, I'm not shy about protein. I've been vegan 40 years now, pretty much. And I've never had a high protein diet. Now I'm on actually a medium to high protein diet. Plant-based, obviously, but I'm absolutely, you know, I'm utilizing the developments in optimum nutrition to really optimize health. So the first thing is those nutrients. And then the second thing, of course, is exercise. Exercise is really, really important. We know that, and especially as you're getting older, you know, I mean, I'm nearly 60 and I'm training twice a week, I'd say, and then doing Qigong every day. So we're doing motion every day. You can see I'm moving quite a lot, even as I'm talking. That's really important. And then of course, the third thing is to sleep well, and getting good sleep is really, really important for your mental health. But the biggest thing I've really done is to really develop that meditation techniques, and the ability to perhaps either sitting meditation or standing, moving Qigong meditations is to learn those, you know, mind techniques, and treat your mind perhaps a little bit like a bicep. It work the mind, practice, focus on developing, you know, the state of mind that you want to be in, that calmness, and you stop that chatter and those negative voices pulling at you, that doubt, and you know, you don't remove them, but you can live with them. You know, you can live with them, and you can kind of use them. You learn to use them. It's like, some doubts. Have I? Okay, what did I do last time? Oh, hello. Maybe I should pay attention to those doubts. Maybe I shouldn't just discard those doubts. You should pay attention. Maybe there, you know, you have to learn, and practicing is a good thing. So those disciplines I found particularly helpful because they're cumulative. Now they're not a fail-safe. They're not obviously they're not foolproof, but they're very, very big steps. And I would say about talking to each other and maybe unburdening, but I think really it's learning to talk to yourself. That's the big key. You've got to live with yourself. It's your movie. It's your movie. And this where we're in charge of that pretty much. What you want to do, what you want to let in, that's up to you. So, you know, if you don't want to go and do, particularly with the vegan advocacy, you might not want to do any. That's fine. You be vegan. That's okay. No one has to do any advocacy. Just being vegan is advocacy. But if you do, you know, well then find things that you want to do that you're comfortable with. You don't necessarily have to push yourself through doors you don't want to go. You push yourself, but only where you want to go. And if you don't want to go and expose yourself to trauma, don't. You know, I don't. There's no way I'm going to look at, I know what happens to animals. I'm not going to watch Dominion. You're kidding me. I'm not. What? No. That's not my fault. You know, I don't, you know, so you don't need to. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, or that there's anything wrong with maybe asking other people to. All I'm saying is that from a mental health perspective, you know, you're in charge, and learn to live with yourself by adopting those life-enhancing techniques and you know, keep the faith, keep the strength, keep believing that we can make a better world. Don't let the awfulness overwhelm you, and particularly try and be kind to each other. That doesn't mean we should avoid issues, but we should try and be kind to each other. Yeah. And I know that's not easy. Sometimes you may have to be tough love. Anyone who's a parent will know what I'm on about. You know, it's or anyone who's got to look after perhaps domesticated animals will know what I'm on about, you know, or anyone who's got to do any caring of themselves, you know what I'm on about. You've got to be tough sometimes, but that doesn't mean you have to be cruel. Yeah. You can be kind still. Yeah. You've got to be supportive and seek those learning outcomes and help each other through. We're all alone here. We can help each other through, build strong communities, resolve conflict, talk, non-violent communication. Yeah. Look after each other. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of very, very wise things you said there, because I'm just kind of like, a lot of them are registering with me. I mean, one of the things about our group is we always say our advocacy is delivered with peace, love and kindness. And it's about being the vegan that you would want to be if you were non-vegan. So if you were non-vegan, you were asking questions, even if they're daft questions, you need to be that person who you would want to be talking to. You wouldn't want to be the shouty, judgmental, sort of militant type of, I mean, you know, militancy has its place, but not when we're trying to persuade people, you know, to try and find the conscience, you know, look into the conscience and do the right thing. You know, if you're... Yeah. I do like our militants. I love our militants. I support the militants, but I absolutely get what you're saying. I think it is we do have to tone police ourselves. Yeah. You know, we do. It's our responsibility. We shouldn't perhaps be tone policing each other, but we should tone police ourselves. We should listen to what's effective. There's some great books out there. People like Casey Taft. Yeah. You know, Motivational Methods for Vegan Advocacy is a really good book. And there's some fabulous new books. I mean, Amelia Luce has written this brilliant one, Think Like a Vegan. There's the Benny Malone book, How to Argue with Vegans. Gary Francione has a new book out, Why Veganism Matters. There's of course, Jordi Casamajana's book, Ethical Vegan. Yeah. You know, these are really good resources. To Go Vegan World, I mentioned their guide, which is a kind of condensed version if you want a quick 10-minute intro. I mean, there's so many good resources there. So, but just going back to that mental health too, you know, I know when you are, and I'll be honest, I get hit hard by it, you know. I feel the weight of responsibility, especially through COVID. I've watched my business crumble. We've had to dismantle our team. We've lost it. And we're now having a rebuild from scratch. And this is a mental health challenge every day, to keep positive and keep strong, clear, confident. And you know what? Yeah, I'll tell you what's helping me. All that good stuff I was on about earlier. It's really, really helpful. And I'm glad I've been doing it for the last year or two specifically. Yeah. But if you are suffering from mental health issues, and we all are, you know, you're not alone, and people do care, and people will talk to you, and probably if you really are seriously suicidal, you know, it is important to reach out, because nobody wants to see anybody go, and we are seeing people losing their lives, and it's a big issue that if we don't talk about it, if we don't try and find supportive, you know, solutions, we'll see more. Yeah. Anyone who's struggling out there, I offer that unconditional support. Yeah. And even people who may say, yeah, that's rich coming from you, Tim Barford. It's like, even so, I practice that meta. Yeah. I try and practice that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Make declaration. Wish people well. Don't punish them. Punish themselves. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know, Anyway, moving on.
Well, thank you for thank you for sharing that. I know it is really hard, but you know, if it helps one person listening to this, it's worth it, isn't it? You know. So let's talk about your festival now. Okay, so
yeah,
your festival, VegFest UK,
yeah.
which I'm hoping to come to this year.
Yeah, we're back on November 12th, 13th at the Grand Olympia.
Brilliant.
There's the floor plan. Just working on it now.
Oh, excellent. Oh, there's loads, absolutely loads here. Brilliant.
I'll tell you now, there's a big animal rights exhibition right in the middle of it. We're focusing, we're centering animals. Brilliant. We will be, by nature, having to encompass some of the bigger firms now. I mean, I'll be honest, when we started 20 years ago, I mean, you know, we had people like Butte Island, Naked, Pucketees, you know, all small firms. They're all bought out by multinationals now. Yeah. We're not going to exclude them, all right? So I say that now, we're not going to exclude them, but we are going to focus where it matters, which is at the heart of this, is a justice for animals movement. And that will be, you know, enshrined in the centre of that exhibition. But yeah, it's going ahead. I can't wait. I'm on it now.
So yours is, so we're doing our festival. Ours is considerably smaller than yours. Ours is the Tyneside Vegan and Music Festival.
Oh, wicked.
So we decided that we are going to, we had the Tyneside Vegan Festival a few years ago, but we had music on as a sort of background, but the music was really, really popular. And the majority of the musicians were vegan as well. So we have so we have Barbara Helen, who performed on your festival.
Oh, Barbara, wonderful. Yeah. I'd offer to play, but I'd empty the stage, so you'd lose the crowd. I like it. We have Julie Grant, we have Sweet Goose. So these are all like vegan animal rights musicians and songwriters. You know, so we'll have music going on through the day. And then obviously we have the vegan aspect of it as well. So we have the vegan, the companies, and we have the animal rights groups and everything as well. But we are kind of, it is a bit of a struggle because people are very much wary of potentially could get shut down, what's going to happen with COVID restrictions and everything. So it is hard to get people to sign up, you know. It's a challenge, that's what I say, when we were talking about mental health problems earlier, you know, it's like, oh my goodness, you know. It's a big weight to carry, and whatever you're doing, you know, it's whatever you're doing now is the weight you're meant to be carrying. That's what I kind of see it as. You know, that's it. You know, you've got that weight, but yeah, it's a big weight. It sounds fabulous. I mean, that's how we started 20 years ago, putting the rock and roll into the vegan, and we did all that, and it was tremendous. You know, it's tremendous. It really does get an energy and a vibe. Yeah, it does. And it's 10 years ago now this year that we had our biggest ever crowd. We had 25,000 people over 3 days. Which I think is the biggest ever vegan event yet ever anywhere in the UK, whatever. But it was a fabulous, and we had you know, like a stellar lineup over 3 days of fabulous. They weren't vegan musicians, I grant you that. They weren't all vegan then. You know, we had basically, that wasn't a style. 10 years ago, we didn't have really any vegan musicians. But that's not true. We had some. But, you know, this is amazing. Thanks, Anna. You made my day. I didn't know about that.
I'll be emailing you between now and then for tips.
Oh, you know, of course. But you know how to do it anyway, I'm sure. But you know, if there's problems, that's the time to ask if you're not sure about. Yeah. And it is a challenge, you know, the changing thing. But we're in an endemic now. We're going out of the pandemic into an endemic. Yes, that's what we're saying, isn't it? So hopefully, here we are, January 22. Yeah. We'll be full scale ahead for events in 22. Yeah.
So you also have a company called Yaoh as well. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, hemp company. I started the UK's hemp company back in 1991 with a colleague of mine. Actually, he started it. I helped him, but we started a sort of vegan hemp education in 91. I opened a shop in 94. Had a clothes label, and then I reformulated, shut down, and we reopened. She did some spreadsheets, learned how to use a computer, cash flow forecasts, margins, other basic business techniques to make sure you don't fold. We have, you know, we've been successful ever since. We do hemp body care and hemp food, and hemp seed, and hemp oil. And it's our 20th anniversary this next month, so 2022. We're relaunching in sugar beet biopolymer non-plastic bottles, which is quite exciting. We've got potato resin biopolymer lip balm cases now, and everything else is in glass, or, you know, so we we've got the sneak preview of our 2 new products coming out. Okay, nobody's seen this yet, so you have a world exclusive. These are the new Yaoh hemp moisturisers.
Oh wow, yeah, I can see, yeah.
Out in the shop soon, probably in the summer. And then by the end of the year, because we're just getting them tested, formulated, and designed, we've got a lovely new body butter.
Body butter, yeah.
Here's the body butter. Yeah, body. That's a world first exclusive. Nobody's ever seen it. That's not seen, but that'll be out. We've got a few new flavors, some wonderful new fragrances, some lang lang, got some tea tree, and really exciting. But of course, it's all hemp, and hemp is really important part of the solution. It's all very well asking farmers to stop farming animals, which is great. Farming animals, it needs to be growing vegetables or producing plant-based options in place. And because hemp is a very viable alternative. So the work we started 30 years ago is now really paying off. It's a £500,000 investment in a new hemp processing unit in Wiltshire, which is now, I think, over 100 farms in the UK are growing tonnage of hemp all over, including up in Scotland and over in Northern Ireland. And this is all coming into the processing for UK grown hemp. So this is really terrific. It's
very valid what you've just said there. But it's a very valid point because you know, one of the things we constantly get asked about farming is if we take away the jobs, what are they going to do? So it's really, really good that we need to have all these ideas for them to diversify. Rebecca Knowles, who runs Farmers Stock-Free Farming, they are working on something called leaf foo at the moment. And we spoke to Jane Catcher-Wild as well. Obviously, they do the oat milk. And we're obviously working with Surge and Reformed. It's really, you know, it's really, really important that we give farmers a viable option and support, you know, practical, financial, emotional support to move in, you know, away from animal agriculture into, you know, something which is sustainable for the future. So we're not taking the business away.
No, that's really cool. You know, to recognise that farmers, vegans and farmers are all friends. We all get on. I mean, this division is pretty much kind of media thing. I mean, I get it. There's some people who are very against, you know, the individuals who are doing this. I understand that, but generally, what we're trying to change is individual and systemic change. And we want farmers to be growing more plant-based options that are sustainable for us all, and that's what we want. And then we want to encourage them, you know, and help people develop that. You know, and also importantly, other things like urban farming and vertical farming, and you know, there's developments that, of course, then also really limit things like crop deaths and environmental damage, which are important parts of plant-based food production. Is they've still got to be animal and environmentally friendly as much as possible and practicable. So that's, and of course, it's developed some really interesting, we're at the cutting edge of all of this stuff. Fabulous time.
Okay, then, so just before we go now, then, what can you just remind me? You said obviously Yaoh have got new products out, and the VegFest when that's happening. So can you just give me a few dates so people can watch out for the new products and also for the VegFest so we can get booked up?
Yeah, quickly. So VegFest we'll be launching live probably in April with the website, but you can get in touch now. You can go to vegfest.co.uk, go to the London 22 page. There's a register of interest form. We can initiate some provisional conversations. Obviously, people have questions. And can say now that we have a robust refund scheme in place for, you know, in the event of any cancellations or postponements. So we've obviously got that really, you know, very much in the stallholders' favour, so that there's a, you know, there's a guarantee basically for stallholders, so to minimise the risk. We can't completely do away with the risk, obviously, but we can minimise it and make sure that it's fair, but importantly, very clear for everyone, you know. So that's going to be coming up. You can get in touch now, info@vegfest.co.uk. Yaoh, go to the Yaoh website, yaoh.co.uk. You can sign up for our bulletins for both, regular monthly updates, and new products coming out all year.
Yeah, brilliant. That's absolutely amazing. I feel you've got so much energy. You're a bit like Karen, like constantly moving all the time.
Yeah, well,
But it's been absolutely brilliant talking to you. Honestly, I could sit and talk to you for hours. You've got so much energy and so many things to talk about. And hopefully we'll come back to a couple of other things. You know, I know there's a few other things we're going to talk about, but I would really like to continue this conversation at a time as well, if that's okay with you.
Yes, there's a couple of areas we haven't touched on.
I know.
Very much. We were interested in expanding on. We won't spoil the fun, but
yeah.
And let's come back. Let's book another date. You know,
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
This has been very much positive, very uplifting, very useful. Hopefully for people, if not at least interested, and if you're still listening, you know, thank you. Well done.
So this is part one of two.
Part two. I think I'd probably take the opportunity to address one or two issues, perhaps more serious issues that require, you know, more consideration and, you know, perhaps a more, you know, methodical and calm approach to that, you know, less enthusiastic and positive, more, you know, but that's serious issues. They're important ones. They're movement issues. They're about resolving conflict and how to find solutions to the problems that come up. Historically, looking back at some of those, but that's for another day.
Yeah. So let's get that booked in. So thank you very much. Anyway, it's been absolutely fascinating talking to you, and thank you for giving up your time this morning as well. So this is Anna from North East Animal Rights saying thank you very much to Tim Barford for talking to us today, and we're going to sign off now.